So a half year ago, I made a video in which I showed Nova Live's original website from 2006, and I also provided historical commentary, which people seem to like. And also, I thought that it was a fun way to teach a little bit about RuneScape history, so I said that I was planning to do this with more old websites, such as Tip.it's original website from 2001. So a lot later than planned, here it is. I remember from last time that I visited that there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff to point out, so sit back and have fun as we go back to February of 2001, which is when RuneScape was just a month old. Okay, so right now we are on the homepage of the Tip.it website as it looked on the 15th of February of 2001, so that was just over a month after the release of RuneScape. So as you can see, the website was called RuneScape Tips, and it was created by Silverion in association with the Steel Corporation Inc. So at the top of the page you can also see an advertisement here for Steel Corporation Inc. They were essentially the first big skill-specific clan or community in RuneScape, and what they would do is they would, well, it says it right here, they would buy all coal and iron at the best prices. And so the reason why this was a very big thing, and I mean smithing in general then, is because, well, for many reasons. So first of all, there were, at this point there was only one bank in RuneScape, which was located in Varrock, but it only accepted coins, so no items could be stored in it. Then something else to consider is the fact that, well, smithing in general was very difficult to train, and that at a time when the game was pretty much all about PvP. So, as you can imagine, it was very inconvenient to for people to get their armor and weaponry, and then mainly due to the fact that banks couldn't store any of that. But I might get back to that later, because there's some other stuff to go through here in the sidebar. So this is the news page that we're on, the news page for the Tip.it website, not the RuneScape website. So there's a lot of news that I could go through. We'll have a quick scroll, but I'm not going to discuss everything, okay? So let's just scroll down a little bit. And so as you can see, there's also screenshots on this website. So these are all screenshots from either January or February of 2001. So that's interesting to keep in mind. And by the way, I will add the link to this website in the video description. So here we have some more site updates, including all these pages, but I assume we'll be able to access them right here through this site menu. Then the second newsletter, that's the official newsletter by Andrew Gower and Paul Gower. I don't know exactly who wrote them. So here we see the second update for the RuneScape high scores, and so what I should mention about this is that there were no high scores on the website until November of 2001, so people couldn't really know how they were doing in comparison with other people unless they asked them, of course. So what Andrew did to kind of give people some updates is include an update in the occasional newsletters. This was the second one, so I think the first one had come I think 2 or 3 weeks earlier. And so these are the high scores from February of 2001, and you can see here it says skill is the total of all skills, with Lightning at the top. Lightning was one of the 4 alpha testers who tested the game before it went live on the 4th of January of 2001. The other 3 were Merlin, Rap, and Guggy. Let's see. And Lightning, she was also the top fighter, so that is the combined score for all combat skills. And for smithing, also this score was combined, so you have it together with mining and smithing. And then the top 25 player killers, that's the score is the number of kills, so that's the PvP kills. So this high score was discontinued after the introduction of the wilderness in August of 2001. So yes, the wilderness did not exist yet at this time. Instead, people could PK anywhere in RuneScape, except Lumbridge, but well, there's it's a little bit too convoluted to explain how PKing worked at the time, but maybe I'll do it a little later in this video. Okay, so what else do we have? So the strength potion. So something to maybe point out here is that Herblore was not in the game yet, so there was no way to make potions, with exception of these 3 potions, and perhaps some others that aren't listed here, I can't remember. And as you can see, the strength potion was blue, and I think you had to make it by going to the apothecary in Varrock, and that's how you could get a strength potion. So the attack potion, which is also blue, of course didn't exist yet and would be released together with the Herblore skill on the 27th of February of 2002, which is when the membership system was released. Okay, so that's all for this page. Then let's have a look at old news. So if we go to old news, then we can also see, well, we'll be able to go back all the way until the creation of the Tip.it website, I think. Okay, let's see, what do I want to mention right here? So I will quickly click. So, of course, not only screenshots were available on the Tip.it websites, but also maps. And here you see the map for the Edgeville dungeon. And if we go back, then you can see right here that it says Ghost Dungeon map. That's because Edgeville at the time was called Ghost Town, and it was renamed as Edgeville together with the release of the Wilderness in August of 2001. Some more maps, which we are not going to have a look at right now. You can do that after this video if you want. Then you have the original map of RuneScape. So let's click it. So here you can see that it says Ghost Town. Then some other interesting things is Varrock with the player-owned houses. Also, this is too much to explain in this video, but long story short, it would take until May of 2001 to release these player-owned houses, of course, as a different concept. If you want the whole story, you can have a look at my ebook trilogy, which is available on my website, which has a lot of information about the development of all skills, including construction and the history of the player-owned houses dating back all the way to 2001. So something else I want to point out, let's see. So here you have Draenor Manor, but you do not have a Draenor Village, and this is something that, this is a little known fact, and that is that Draenor Village was released after Draenor Manor, and as you can see, it was even called a small village here with, well, not much going on, as you can see on the map. Let's see, what else do you want to mention? Oh, right, so the world of Galenor in general. So as you can see, this is just Mistalin. So there was no Falador yet or anything to the west of it, and to the east of it, and to the north of it, and even to the south of it. There was nothing really to, well, other than this. So the game was still very limited, both in its features and the geography. So then let's go back. Some more site updates. Some more official news from Andrew Gower. So here it talks about PKing status. Okay, so I will try to explain this after all. So back in January of 2001, people had to make a choice when creating their account. So they had to choose whether they wanted to become a PKer or a non-PKer. Basically, a PKer could kill other PKers in RuneScape, and non-PKers could not engage in PvP at all anywhere in RuneScape. So these PKers, they could indeed PK everywhere except in Lumbridge, which was a safe zone. But there was no option to change back and forth between which status you wanted to have. So of course, if people had created their account to be a PKer and then they didn't like it, well, tough luck, there was no way to change it. So this is what Andrew is talking about right here, to allow them to change twice. But that's enough for PvP, because, well, there's a lot to tell about PvP history about in RuneScape 1 or RuneScape Classic, whatever you prefer. So then we have range combat. So maybe I should point out that there was a lot of combat rebalancing going on in RuneScape 1, and of course, obviously, in the especially in the first weeks and months of the game. But interesting to point out here is that there was no such thing as a combat triangle yet, and that may be the reason why our range combat needed to be rebalanced. The combat triangle would eventually be introduced together with the launch of RuneScape 2 in March of 2004. So then here, something to talk about are the spells, and you can see here Fear and Rockskin. Let's talk with Rockskin because that's only that isn't very much to explain about. So Rockskin, if you remember, Rockskin is actually a prayer today, right? So initially it was a magic spell, and even though prayer was already in the game at this point and you could train prayer, there weren't actually any prayers yet. So that may be the reason why Rockskin was a magic spell, and the first prayers would be released in May of 2001, so that's 5 months later. Then the spell Fear. So the spell Fear has a very interesting history. I can't remember exactly how the spell worked, but I think that it made monsters unaggressive, and it was a big thing because back in the time, not only were almost all monsters, I think all monsters, aggressive, there was also such a thing as the 3-round combat system. So basically, if a monster attacked you, then you could not run away until you had attacked back 3 times. So after every 3rd attack, only then could you try to run away, and it was actually walking away because there was no run option either. So what the Fear spell did is that it could bypass that 3-round system, and basically, so if you decided that you did not want to engage in combat, you could cast the spell and then run away after just 1 attack. So that was what it was intended to be used for, I think. But then the problem with this is that you could also use this when a monster was being attacked by another player, so not by you, but by another player, and then you would essentially be able to steal that monster or to steal their kill. I think it was something like that, and that's also the reason why it was removed from the game in I'm not exactly sure, April or May as well. So yeah, that's an interesting fun fact about the Fear spell, and I hope that's correct. So I can let's scroll down a little more. So yeah, also interesting, if you wanted to do things like changing your password, there was no way to do that on the website itself. Instead, you had to do that in the game by typing so-called commands, which of course wasn't a super safe way of doing things, but that's just how it worked back then. Let's see. Jagex website. The RuneScape forums. So the RuneScape forums, I would have to look that up. I think they were available until, let me think. I think they were initially available until November of 2001, and then Andrew removed them because there was too much verbal abuse going on, not necessarily towards the creators of RuneScape, but also towards, well, the community being the community, if you know what I mean. I think that's when Andrew removed forums, and then they were re-released together with, I think, RuneScape 2, but I would have to look that up. So yeah, anyway, moving on. So then we have some more screenshots with the bank robbery, the infamous bank robbery, which I have discussed in a previous video. So in order to avoid making this video too long, I'll just add a link to the other video, and then you can have the story, then you can listen to the story behind the screenshot. At least I think I did discuss it. I may have actually recorded it, but not yet uploaded it. Because I remember making this a long time ago, but it may still be somewhere on my computer without ever having uploaded it. So I'll have a look. So if I did discuss it, then you will be able to find a link in the video description. And if I didn't discuss it, then, well, there will be no link. So then moving on. This is about the same bank robbery bug, because it was a bug. And here you can see I think this is about the first bank, right? Yeah, so this is when they added the first bank to the game. Can you imagine not having a bank in RuneScape? Basically, if you wanted to store anything, you'd have to use other accounts, and basically use their inventory. And that's what people did, by the way. So they would create multiple accounts and use those accounts as their bank, which of course was a very good idea. More updates. So I'm going to. Oh wait, this is the end apparently. So here you can see 18 January, and that is when the website opened. So there you have it, the birth of the Tip.it website, going all the way back to the 18th of January of 2001. Okay, so then let's go to the next section. Then we arrive at the skills, which is too much text to read right now. But we do see an overview of the stats interface, and I'll discuss some of these names, because, well, skill names that you see right here. So here's an overview of all skills. Well, this is the basic stuff. So hit points was called hits at first. Then thieving which was already in the in-game stats interface, but it wasn't added to the game yet. And the same was true for herb lore and a few other things. Anyway, so thieving was not in the game yet, but people did know that it would eventually be released. Then here you see influence, and influence is essentially the precursor of what quest points are today. So although some quests already existed, you could not gain any quest points from them. Instead, you gained influence, and what it would do is it would allow you into certain places or buildings, or make prices cheaper in stores, as you can see. It's so influence. It may seem like something very mysterious, but it's basically, well, not much else in what we call quest points today. So, and then here we arrive at the fun stuff. So here you see pray good, pray evil, good magic, and evil magic. So back in the first half of 2001, both of these skills were split into two versions, which also means you had two skills to train. Pray good and pray evil. So this is what I said. So you could train it by burying bones, but you know, there was nothing to unlock. There were no prayers yet. So this was extremely mysterious to the people at the time, because no matter what you did, you were either training the good version or the evil version, and you didn't really know what triggered it. And you have to keep in mind there weren't that many types of bones yet. I think it may even just be regular bones. Maybe big bones. So I can't remember that. But so this was the evil and good version of prayer was very mysterious. There's nothing else I can say about that. Then so for good magic and evil magic, so there were spells for good magic, there were spells for evil magic, not that many, but there were spells. And also again here, people didn't really know, what, so why a spell was considered a magic spell or why a spell was considered an evil magic. So you would intuitively assume that evil magic might be all the combat spells and good magic all the non-combat spells, but that was not the case. So I see here it says magic guide, so maybe when we arrive at that point, when we arrive right here, I can tell a little bit more about it if it gives an overview of all spells. So then tailoring, which was not yet used. So tailoring is essentially leather crafting. It was briefly released in March of 2001, but it was also very quickly removed again. And then later it was reintegrated into the crafting skills when crafting was released in May of 2001. So then I have discussed both crafting and tailoring together, so that's efficient. Okay, so and then we have herb law. not Herb Lore, it was called Herb Law in RuneScape 1, and which also wasn't in the game yet. So we have equipment. That's some attempt at calculations, at a calculation of something. Well, I'm not going to read all of this. So then you have weapon aim and weapon power, which is what we call accuracy and strength today, or attack and strength today. Magic, prayer, which I've already explained, and then hiding. And so hiding, so here it says that it seems to reduce monsters' chances of noticing you and attacking you. So it was so whether it actually did work is very controversial, because yes, there was hiding in the stats interface, but no one really remembers anything about it. And even Andrew Gower doesn't, because I asked him about the hiding. Is it a skill or a stat, equipment stat? I asked him about hiding 5 years ago, I think. And he couldn't even remember this ever being in the game. So of course that doesn't help. But he did assume that it might have done something like this indeed. So to reduce a monster's chances of noticing you. And he assumed that mainly because this was being used in other games as well. So it makes sense. So maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work, but it didn't survive for very long. I don't know when exactly it was removed from the game. I don't think it's mentioned anywhere either. So that will be hard to ever figure out. So then we go to classes. So classes. So besides choosing whether to become a PKer or a non-PKer, something else people had to do was choose a class, and basically it would give that player some sort of starting boost when they arrived in Lumbridge. So as you can see, a warrior, for example, would have these bonuses, would have 12 hit points instead of 10, would have this as a free weapon in the inventory, and would have a wooden shield as well. And here you can see what it was like for the other classes, such as Wizard, Adventurer, Necromancer, and Ranger. And then later on, also the Adventurer class. This is Adventurer. I want to say, the Mining. So the Miner class was added to the game later on as well. But, well, it didn't really do very much. I mean, it just gave you a small boost to begin, maybe to encourage the players a little bit. So it was removed in July of the system of classes, so it was removed in July of 2002, I think. Well, mainly because it didn't do very much anyway, but also because Andrew didn't really like this system. He had just implemented it because it was used in other games, but he wasn't convinced by it, so he was quite happy to remove it in July of 2002. And keep in mind, this was also before there was a tutorial. The tutorial island was, which was also the first tutorial, was released in September of 2002, I think. So perhaps it did make sense to have something like classes at first. So then we have the top lists, which is high scores, I assume. Yeah, so this is the full list of the high scores. So it was originally included in the what's it called, news updates, newsletters. Okay. You can have a look at this after this video if you want. So top list, the atlas, which will show some maps, obviously. The labeled map of RuneScape, which we have already had a look at. Then the mining areas, which was, let's try to have a look at this if it is. That one is no longer available. So yeah, all sorts of maps you can have a look at as well. I'm not going to do that right now. Then we have the bestiary. Again, a lot of text that I'm not going to read. A formula for experience, which may have been a guess, because I don't think the exact formula was known at the time. So here we see an overview of the monsters that were in the game. Is that correct? I think that is correct. So, and you can see these are all names that are very simple, so nothing too complex. Melzar the Met, isn't this from the Dragon Slayer quest? Wait, let's check. Where did I scroll past it? Wait a second, where is this? Oh, so okay, so this is interesting because keep in mind we are supposed to be on the web page of the 15th of February of 2001, but it does already talk about the Dragon Slayer quest. So the question right now is, so it was known that Dragon Slayer would eventually be released, but was Melzar the Met already in the game, or is this some sort of retrieval error by the... Because I am using an online archive called Wayback Machine. Is this some sort of retrieval error? It's hard to tell, but either way, there is also an overview of the monsters on the Tip.it website. So let's move on to items. An overview of the most basic items, I assume this is going to be. You have weapons, so only these types of weapons existed: daggers, swords, axes, and maces. And then here you can see a further subdivision. Yeah, so we have already discussed this, I think. Oh, so we haven't discussed yet which types of equipment existed. So you can see here right up to adamant existed. Rune didn't exist yet. Rune items would be released, I think, well, the first Rune items would be released in July of 2001, I think. So adamant was the best available type of equipment at this point. Here you have some more information about the stuff that could be worn, as well as some of the bonuses that each type gave. Okay, so then let's see what else we have here. Foods. Yeah, so there wasn't much food yet to choose from. Essentially, this was it. The fishing skill didn't exist yet, by the way, which is another interesting fun fact to share right now. It was added to the game on the 11th of June of 2001, I think. Also, pizzas didn't exist yet. Pies didn't exist either. What else would be interesting to mention? Well, I think this may have been the only stuff that existed. So, and then some tools that were available. Then we have other items. Okay, we're not going to have a look at them. And here is an attempt. It says pricing and availability. An attempt to list the store prices both for buying and selling. Yeah, that's somewhat interesting. Okay, so let's move on to... Wait, were we on items or shops? We were on the items page. All right. So then we go to shops. Here you see an overview of the shops. We can have a look at some of them. What would be interesting to point out? The Champions Guild. That's interesting to point out because this is where you could eventually buy the adamant plate body, so which was the strongest type of melee armor in the game, but not from the beginning. I think it was added to the shop in May, so that's 2 months later, and it would be available for 40k GP, I think. So anyway, it was... So given that adamant was the strongest type of equipment, that was quite an incentive for people to try to get into the Champions Guild, which already did require the 32 quest points that it requires today, I believe. So then we have some more stores, but I've been talking for almost half an hour now, so I'm gonna go quickly through this. So, and then let's see, buying and selling predictions. Okay, so that's just one thing. That's also a lot of text that I'm not going to read, but it is about, well, predicting prices. Here it says store buying, so maybe this is about predicting store prices. Well, it has to be that. What else could it be, right? Let's see. Okay, maybe interesting to point out here is that the general store bought items for 40% of the item's cost, but specialized stores for 60%. So maybe thought that was maybe interesting to mention. Here another overview of the prices. Okay, you can have a look at that later. So what else is there? Quests. There's some interesting stuff to mention about quests. I've already discussed influence, so I'm not going to do that again. So have a look at the list of the available quests, and what do you notice? So, of course, so some of these have like the correct names or the names that they have today, but some of these do not, right? And the reasons for that is that there was no in-game quest list yet at this point in RuneScape. So unless the creators of RuneScape, and mainly Paul Gower was involved with quests, I believe. So unless they had mentioned a name for the quest, then the quests simply didn't have any name at all, and then they were made up by the people. So that's how you end up with Delrit, the Find Ernest quest, the Ghost quest, and the Wool quest. So that was maybe not the most perfect system, but well, anyway, so together with the system of influence and when it was replaced by quest points, that's also when the in-game quest list was added to the game. So then all these quests suddenly did have official names. So that was May of 2001. And this is some sort of quest guide, I think. So does this work by selecting? Okay, yeah, so if you just select and it reveals the steps, which I think is an interesting system. We were there, so then we go to smithing. Smithing guide. Right, so this is, so I have already mentioned the importance of smithing, and that's very, try to keep that in mind, because smithing was one of the most important skills at the time, just because of its function in relation to PvP. So how do you make metal bars? There were two furnaces in RuneScape, one in Lumbridge, the other one in Alcarit. And that was extremely annoying, because you can have a furnace, but you also need an anvil. And guess where the other anvil was? Well, it wasn't in Lumbridge and it wasn't in Alcarit. So there was only one anvil at the time, and it was located in Varrock. So combined with the fact that you couldn't bank items at the time, you can imagine how annoyingly difficult it must have been to go from your, let's say, coal ore to your dagger or sword, because you would have to go all the way from Alcarit or Lumbridge to Varrock just to make your weapon, and then you couldn't even store it in the bank. So, so yeah, that was very inconvenient at the time. Here we have some more details about how to make all of these items. How do you smith? Well, okay, we know that today. Alright, so then let's move on to what's the other one? Game commands. Okay, so here you have okay, some of the chat language that was used at the time. So here you have what I said about changing the passwords. Oh, right. So let's talk about this as well. So the tell command, right? So this is definitely a retrieval error from the Wayback Machine, because here it says that the tell command has been taken out of the game and that you can add your friends to your friends list instead to private message them. But this actually was not possible until April of 2001. So this is a retrieval error from Wayback Machine. So before, people were able to well, add each other to their friends list and actually have in-game friends in that sense. So the only way to talk to other people individually without saying something in public was by using the tell command. So basically you would type, I think, I don't remember what, maybe it was just tell and then the name and then the message, and then the other person would get the message. Of course, you would have to do that every time, so it made so the addition of the friends list in April of 2006 was April of 2001 was of course very useful. But so this didn't exist yet in February of 2001. So okay, then let's have a look at the magic guide, and then there should be more information about the evil and magic versions. So this is what I said. So they are divided into good magic and evil magic. Here you can see some names already. It remained like that until the 10th of May. Wait, let's have a look. So this is from my own PDF trilogy, ebook trilogy about the history and development of RuneScape. So this is from book 1. In total there are 1,000 pages, and this is from book 1. And here you can see that so the so good and evil, they were merged on the 10th of May. And then the first prayers, they were released on the 24th of May. Okay, so the big update was on the 10th of May. Okay, so let's head back to the website now. And that's when that system of evil and good was removed. Wait, let's see if there's some more info, because I did have another page open. Wait, so this is from the skill summary for magic that I have included in my PDF. Let's see what else it says. Okay, maybe this I can talk about, but I'll assume that this is also included on the Tip.it website. Oh yeah, so anyway, the usual giveaway. If you want a chance to win a free copy of my ebook trilogy, let me know what surprised you the most about this video. Let me know in the comments below, and then I will pick one lucky winner. I will randomly pick one lucky winner who will receive a free copy of my ebook trilogy, and I will announce it in the community tab on my YouTube channel. Probably on the 1st of June or a little bit later, a few days later, maybe possible. So yeah, good luck and have fun with that. So then here you see the good magic spells, and here you see the magic. Wait, let's see if I can get it onto. No. Okay, so this is fear, which we have. So right below you can see fear, which we've already discussed. So I can hide that a little bit. So here you have the good spells and the evil magic spells. So, and this is what I meant. So here you can see that also the good magic spells included combat spells. So if you see like some sort of system, like in the way this was let's say divided, let me know, because it seems to be, well, quite randomly. All these spells seems to have been quite randomly assigned to be either good or magic. So yeah, and as you can see, there weren't many spells in the game overall, just 10, I think, if I counted correctly. So and that's true for all skills. So all skills were still very primitive. Do keep that in mind, which makes sense, of course, for a game that's not even 2 months old. So what else do I want to mention? There was something else that I wanted to tell about this. I can't remember right now. Okay, well, maybe it will come back later. So then we have the rune spawns, and as you can see, only these runes existed, right? Because so remember when I told you the story about having to travel from Lumbridge or Elkarid to Varrock to make your dagger or sword? Well, so you had to do that by walking, because the law runes and therefore also the teleportation spells did not exist yet. So all of these runes, these other runes like nature runes, law runes, and death runes, chaos runes, what else is there? They would be added to the game on the 24th of May of 2001. So yeah, anyway, if you want the full history of Magic and its development, then do have a look at my ebook trilogy, which you can get a copy of it on my website if you want to support me. It's only £5 for more than 1,000 pages, so that would be greatly appreciated. Or you can try your luck in the giveaway. That's fine too. So yeah, I do have overview for all skills like this and in the PDF. Okay, so then moving on to Magic Guides, community board. That's going to be the forums, which are no longer available. I remember that because I was very upset about that when I found this website for the first time. I really wanted to have a look at the forums, and it just didn't work. So I do remember that it was not available. Then the chat, probably not available either. It doesn't even load. Okay. So then some. Oh, so it does load. Oh, so this is right. So this is about IRC, and so this is interesting to point out. So back in 2001, IRC, or Internet Relay Chat, was a very popular chat program, and even Andrew Gower and Paul Gower, I think, used it to chat with the RuneScape community, which made IRC even more popular in the RuneScape community. So that must have been interesting to have like direct access to Andrew Gower, being able to ask him some questions. I think that's also how people learned about future updates, as well as on the Tip.it forums, by the way, which Andrew visited as well to answer questions, etc. So yeah, Tip.it was quite. So it kind of emphasizes how important Tip.it was for the community at the time. So anyway, this isn't too interesting for this video, so let's move on to links. An overview of other links you can try out. You can check it out if any of these links work. Some clan sites. I'm not going to have a look at these right now, but something I do want to point out is, let's see if there's something to point out. So the Black Knights. The Black Knights ended up becoming one of the more well-known PvP clans. I think it was founded by Osiris BK. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a PKer, never have been. So the Black Knights. Well, anyway, the Black Knights ended up becoming a big PvP clan, or at least well-known. And that for many years, well into the RuneScape 2 era. I don't know if they still exist today. They may, but that would be surprising. No, I don't think they do. No, they definitely don't anymore today. Anyway, then we also have the Saber clan. The Saber clan, this is interesting to mention because the Saber clan is recognized as the first RuneScape clan in the game, and that's because they, pretty much on day one of RuneScape, they had migrated from another game, Cyber Wars, I think, after Andrew had advertised RuneScape there. So then basically, well, a lot. So if I remember this correctly, then half the player base on day one, which were around 50 players in total, I think. So half of that, they were all members from the Sabers clan. So they had a big role, they played a big role in shaping the first community. And I do have this story that I've just told, of course, with a lot more detail. I do have that explained in my trilogy ebook that you can get on my website as well. Is there anything else that I want to say? So what does contact us do? Oh, so wait, it opens. Alright, so this is kind of broken. Okay, so it seems that this was all for the website. There isn't immediately anything that I can think of right now to add to that. Okay, so will add the link to the video description. And then you can have a look yourself. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this little tour. I have plenty of other websites that I can show, so let me know if you want more videos like this one. Don't forget about the giveaway. Liking and subscribing always helps this channel, so I appreciate that very much. If you want more nostalgia and more history, you can support my work by getting yourself a copy of my ebook trilogy on my website. Alternatively, you can check out my other videos, my social media pages, or join my Facebook group called RuneScape Memories, where you can share and discuss all your RuneScape memories. With more than 80k members, we're one of the biggest RuneScape communities on Facebook, so it's like drowning in an ocean of nostalgia. Okay, thanks again for watching.